Hello, I'm Matthew. Welcome to my first attempt at a YouTube video. I started playing Factorio a few weeks ago and it's been really good fun. I thought I'd show a couple of tips and tricks, mainly around the creative mode mod. So here we are at the main menu. We're going to play a game, choose scenarios and sandbox. The sandbox gives you basically a free area to play in God mode. So there's no character running around. You get to scroll around without hampering of a character that can get killed. The downside of that is there's no character to place things. So you don't have drone ports and so forth. Anyway, we'll figure that out. So let's create a new game. We're gonna not have the enemies attack because that's kind of annoying when you're trying to do things. And for now, just the default custom map. So let's generate a new world. And off it goes. Okay. So we've landed on our planet all alone. To get this thing started, you have to press tab. There we are. Now, unlike normally, it's going to walk us through a few options. We want to enable the creative mode because that's the whole point of being here. Having done that, we then want to be able to build some stuff and make things, and for that it's kind of useful to have all the tech. Now if you were using the creative mode to learn about how to research the tech, obviously you wouldn't do this, but we're wanting to start with everything unlocked. So there we are, all the tech. If you choose items please, it gives you a basic starter pack for the Steam age. We're kind of skipping that, so no thanks. We definitely want cheat mode and we want it to be always day. Don't do what I did and set it to always day when you're trying to set up solar panels, because that really screws with your config. Anyway, we're not doing solar panels today, so let's go. Right, so if we bring up our crafting menu, you'll see there's an extra set of creative tools on here, and click on that. They're all funny colors and highlighting. These are basically all your magic items so that you can set up never-ending supplies or sinks of things. So to get started we need power. So best way to do that is to create a passive energy source, and we'll plop that down. And then we need to get the power to things. I don't want to be fiddling around with cables and wires, so we'll set up a super substation. And you can see this thing just has a massive supply area. If we come out of that and highlight it, right, it just goes off the screen. So we can place anything we want anywhere and it's going to have some power. So next, remember we don't really have personal drone ports or anything, so we're going to start off by placing a few drone bays just to get everything going. There we go. And then we're going to do a couple of tricks. So first of all, let's get a couple of these stack inserters. And we're going to use these to feed drones in. So one can feed in there, one can feed in there. Then, under the creative tools, this item here is a duplicating chest. So this is a steel chest. Whatever item you put into it, it then has a bottomless supply of them. So we'll get a couple of those and put them down. The other thing we're going to do is get a wire and wire these to the drone bays and set the drone bays to read robot stats. So X is available logistics and Z is available construction. Let's set that to signals as well. I'm going to set this to insert whenever X is less than 1,000. Okay. Bit excessive, but we're in creative mode. We have bottomless pits of resources. And similarly, we'll set up the insert rule on this. So remember Z was available construction bots. There we are. And whenever there's less than, let's say 200 available construction bots, this is going to be active. So next we can go here, make one of those, make one of those, drop this into that pot, and drop this into that pot. And you can see they're starting to insert some things. You can see the numbers of the drones going up. Okay, so we're being provisioned. And if we click on one of these, just so you can see, this is a bottomless pit of drones. Okay, so this has got stuck because there's no room to put any more into this. We could manually pull them out if we wanted, but who cares really? Okay, now notice here, I'm out of drone ports. So we could make a blueprint. Here we are. Very boring blueprint, just one drone on it. And we could plop that blueprint down and nothing happens. So what do we do? Well, the trick here is to use a creative provider chest. So the creative provider chest contains a bottomless supply of everything. We make one of those, drop it down, and suddenly our construction bots have somewhere to get things from. Awesome. Okay, so there's our little station there. We've got our bottomless pit of supplies, we've got our bottomless pit of construction bots and of logistics bots, and we're ready to build something. So what I'm going to build today is a little test rig for looking at how distance from sources and sinks affects supplying constructors. Okay, so we'll build the first thing by hand, and then we'll get our drones to build the rest. So if we look on here, here are our Fab 3s. Make a stack of those, and let's place one here. So I'd like this to make gears. There we are. And for gears, we require some iron plates. So if we press Alt so we can see what's going on, there we are. So for the iron plates, we're going to need some inserters. May as well make them stack inserters. After all, everything here is free. So this inserter can put in plates, and this inserter here can spit out the gears. And then if we go to our magic stuff again, here is a duplicating provider chest and a duplicating void requester. We'll use those in a moment. But for now, we just want to wire this up as a normal component. So we'll need some passive providers and passive requesters. They're just the normal things from the game. So the requester, let's have it request some iron plates. And let's not be greedy, let's set that to 50. There we are. So that's going to request 50 iron plates. And then it's going to put them into a provider. Okay, and let's limit this to one stack. There we are, so you can see it's going away and making stuff. As it's using up the plates, it's being supplied with more plates out of the bottomless pit of everything in the universe. And we're done, okay. So that's kind of, it works. What we could do to improve this is use a voiding requester chest. So if we make one of these, and let's set it down here. So let's have this request some gears. Okay, so that's requesting 100 gears. At the moment, they're all coming out of this guy, which is sad. So let's delete that. Now they're coming out of there. Okay, so all is good with the world. This is running quite slowly, and since we can do anything we want, let's add loads of speed to it. So here we are. Let's start right at the very edge. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth one wouldn't hit it. 5, 6, 7, 8. And speed those up. Okay. Cool. So if we now run that, we need to provide it with some plates. Now I don't want to drop down the everything in the world provider again. because it's going to short circuit consuming the gears. So what I'm going to do instead is use a duplicating provider chest. And this guy here is like the voiding chest in that it's kind of magic. So if we make ourselves one plate and drop it in there, this is now full of plates. The logistics box can grab those, fill them in, and then when it's made gears, they get sucked back to there. So we've got the basis of something we can now use to benchmark things without needing to supply all the production infrastructure around it. Great, so we're making lots of gears. And we could look at the production stats. We are making 600 plus gears a minute. It's ramping up here. You can see the number calculated will ramp up as the chart does. It'll get towards 600. Brilliant. Well, that's nearly enough gears to almost do something. Let's make a lot more gears. So if we were doing this for real, we would stick all our gear machines in a line. But obviously, we're not going to do that here because that's kind of dull. What we're going to do is show how things can go wrong. Okay, so let's stick a drone port by the side of the gear maker. And clear our blueprint. So this is going to be our blueprint here. So where should we put this? I don't know. We could make the blueprint bigger actually and grab this whole unit of drone and 4. Okay, so there, 1, and again, and again, and again. Okay, so there's a few of those. And notice nothing's been built, so that's because there's no construction materials currently. Let's drop down our everything provider. Now what I'm finding is this is a little bit buggy. When you drop it down the first time, nothing much happens. If you drop it down a second time, it seems to get picked up. So it's being used to satisfy this requester chest, but it's also being used now to build this stuff. You can see the construction drones getting on and building. That's a lovely job. Okay, so we now have our stack built. Let's kill this off again. So our plates are going up from here, and our gears are being dumped down there. You can see they're going up, and they go up to this first machine, and this machine is pretty much working. This machine is stuttering a bit. This machine is stuttering quite a lot. This machine really is not getting any. This machine's getting almost none at all. Okay, so what's going on here? If we look down at the bottom, this guy is requesting 50, and you can see it's getting up to about 15, 20 plates and then emptying itself. By the time we're up here, I have no idea why that's not running. Oh, because it's not getting any drones to empty. Nothing's going on there. Right, this one's sort of running. So this is just having massive gaps between getting its plates. How could we improve this? Okay, so it turns out that Factorio sends more bots to something if it requests more stuff. So if we up this to 100, you can now see that this number is bouncing around. So let's make it even bigger. Let's make it 200. Right, so now this has a clear stack. It's never eating into that stack of 100. Fair enough. So let's do this one. So if we put this up to 200, there we are. And wait for the drones to start satisfying those requests. Oh, sorry, I didn't click on the thing. I do that all the time. You have to actually highlight the thing you want to change the number of, amazingly. Okay, are we better off now? That's it. Okay, so now we've got a clear stack. So let's set this one to 200. So there we are. That's got a clear stack. And this one, so that's 200. And what's happening here? Okay, that's quite happy now. Except this isn't getting enough pull, right? So this is maxed out. So the issue with this is now consuming as fast as it possibly can. We've hit the consumption limit, and it's tending to pull from things that are closer. So to get more throughput here, we would need another voiding requester chest. So if we go back to this, let's make some of these guys, and we're greedy, so we're just going to throw a whole line of them down. Right shift there, and then shift and left to set those. We can delete this one off. All right, so there we are. So now there's loads of requests. They're being pulled in. You can now see that this guy is working full pelt. It's consistently over 100 in its buffer. Okay, this guy here is running, its buffer's not reaching 100, right? So although it's requesting 200, it's only getting a buffer of about 80. And by the time we get up here, well, it's just not making it, is it? So 50, let's set this to 200 and see if that improves things. So we're getting a bit more now. Let's click on it, now it's burnt in. Okay, so that's not too bad. It's just about keeping a non-zero value, occasionally browning out. Let's highlight that again. Okay, so it's just keeping there. So this isn't quite managing to keep a buffer of 100. So if we click on this and set this to 300, how does that go? Give it a moment to buffer in. So that's managed to break through the buffer of 100 barrier. All right, so let's set this to 300, see if it improves. And wait for the drones to get there. And that's managed to do it. So now we've got a buffer of, almost 100. Okay, and perhaps we're wasting a bit of material down here. No, that's all right. That's just about keeping pace at 200. Okay, so at the bottom down here, we needed to set a buffer of 200 to keep 100 plates in hand. And up here, we had to set a buffer of 300 to keep 100 plates in hand. And you can see we haven't gone that far up. We've gone only a few units. So you can see how if this was a really deep stack, like a smelting array or something, to keep everything fed, you'd have to keep ramping up the request as you go through until by the end you were requesting stupid quantities just to keep the volume going. Anyway, that was my whistle-stop tour of what you can do with the creative mode and illustrating some issues with drone travel times. Hope you've enjoyed this. I hope to record other episodes in the future. Bye!